Okay, welcome to Into the Channel, a podcast primarily about women's football. Before we hit the pitch, if you enjoy the show or love women's football as much as your boys do, come kick it with us already every single week. We are in the building breaking down pretty much the whole landscape of global women's football. With that said, subscribe, follow YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to watch or listen at ITC_pod on X. I am your host, Dino De Cespedes, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engel. What is up, man?
Yes, buddy. I'm feeling fantastic. We are spanning the world's game, and we have another set of just absolute bangers coming up in the National Women's Soccer League in our home country, and I'm excited to talk about them with you.
Let's go. Yeah, so we've got 7 matchups this week. We're not really going to, necessarily break down the matchup, but I think we're going to use this opportunity, check in on some of these teams, talk about some of the storylines, just kind of focus back in domestically. I think, we've been spanning the globe a little bit, racking up those frequent flyer miles, and I think now it's time to kind of settle into our chairs and do a little quality time with our home league. So with that said, where do you want to get started?
Let's go chronological order for the league this week. Maybe one of the best matchups on the board in a league that has a lot of great teams and a lot of great players. We're kicking off the weekend with the Washington Spirit versus your Orlando Pride, Friday, April 26th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. I want to start here before we get into the match. A lot of people talking about our gal, your gal, the Zambian wonder, Barbara Banda, who we've been calling Barbara Banda since the World Cup, since we started doing all the research in that. And people keep calling her Barbara Banda. And I just want to know, I thought your research led us down the path, and I trust your research, led us down the path to call her Barbara Banda. Have we been mispronouncing her name?
We should have known we would have started here because I would have double, triple checked that. I kind of feel like Banda has always been where it's been at.
I thought it was.
My initial research, this was prior to the World Cup, and I watched a lot of local TV Zambian football. And on there, to quote, it was Barbara Banda. So
let's go. I knew you were watching Zambian television over YouTube. So I'm rocking with Banda as well. I feel like they're probably pronouncing it correctly in Zambia. Call me crazy.
If they're doing it wrong, I'm happy to do it wrong alongside them. So let's go. Washington, Orlando. What do we need to know about these two teams? What are we going to be looking out for this Friday?
I mean, let's just look at the table first and foremost. The Spirit sitting on 12 points. They're second in the table. The Pride, they're sitting on 9 points. They're fifth in the table. We know Banda has come over. She played her first minutes last week.
Oh, yeah.
Superstar players, teams in good form, and those players are in good form. But I want to talk about the Spirit's superstar rookie first, Croy Bethune. She's been playing out of her mind. I know you got the numbers on it. Please, I cede to you as the math guy, as the stats guy. How has her play translated into those stats?
Well, I want to have some fun with some old takes. I think my take of when Bethune hits her prime, she's going to be the best player on this team. I might be ready to double down on that one because Croy Bethune is teetering dangerously close to Croy F. Bethune status here on the ITC.
Let's go.
In a beautiful bit of symmetry, 12 shots on the season, 6 on target, 3 goals. So 50% of her shots are on target, 50% of her shots on target find the back of the net. That's pretty awesome. And she had a fucking banger last weekend. Outside the box, absolute laser, just superstar shit.
Yeah.
And I think she is a big game player. You can see it. She likes to step up in big moments. And one thing that I couldn't help but think about, did a little bit of USWNT talk recently. We picked our Olympic roster, had a nice little draft surrounding that. Go back and check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. When does Croy Bethune get the call? When does she get her camp invite? When do we get to see her mix it up with some of the OGs?
I don't know if this is an official time, but the sooner the better, I would think. Yeah, you're right. She's incredible. She has the look of a big game player. I love that you pointed that out. If I can just, and your take, by the way, of saying that she would end up being the best player on the squad, or that it looks like she'll be the best player on the squad, that's going to age delightfully, I think. And if you can if you would allow, my good man, me some room on this bandwagon, I'm not saying this is exactly what she's going to be, but just tell me, when you see a midfielder who maybe by some athlete standards looks a little undersized, and when you see a midfielder go in between two players and squeak out of there with a brilliant touch and then fire a shot past the goalkeeper, I thought that looked like a Lionel Messi kind of play. And she looks incredible. She has 3 goals already. She doesn't have any assists. Just wait, because that's coming, because she's a genius passer as well. So to answer your question before I get way too excited and start making more messy comparisons, you have to get her on. You have to get her into camp and be like, okay, so when do we fit her in? Because she looks like a world beater.
I totally agree. I mean, I don't know, she has a knack for it. And I think that's kind of exactly what you want to see, and super high quality play. She's just very sharp, pretty much the total package. I think at this point, still super early, still getting acclimated to the NWSL. This one's going to be a very interesting match come Friday night.
100%. Let me a couple more on, because I mean, this is obviously the Rookie of the Year campaign. It's on. Like, that's happening right now. We're watching it happening for Bethune. She's 4th in the league in goals. She's 7th in the league in non-penalty XG. Oh, we're cracking one?
I mean, I'm excited about the take. Getting ready to talk some Orlando Pride here. I think in a minute, I got some stuff coming up here. So, yeah, might as well. Cheers.
I love it. Cheers to you. And obviously there are 2 teams in this matchup. Real quick on Bethune, like I said, 4th in goals, 7th in non-penalty XG, 5th in passes into the penalty area, 2nd in goal-creating actions, 6th in shot-creating actions. Should she win Rookie of the Year, which it would be silly to count out Ali Sentnor yet, so that's totally acceptable. But to finish the thought, Bethune, should she win Rookie of the Year, she would be the 2nd Spirit player to win that honor, joining, of course, Trinity Rodman from 2021. Not a bad duo to be working with up front.
Yeah, and I think throw Hirschfeld in there, and now that's just a very exciting young team. Hidalgo is on his way, even though Barcelona's having its a little wobbly.
That's another podcast.
I want to talk about my Orlando Pride. Baba de Banda. The Banda minutes were fucking insane. I mean, I was nervous. I was excited. I was anxious. I was hopeful. Pretty much every emotion you could think of. I ran the whole gamut. Rafael is coming back, or maybe he already is back. It's funny. I think there's still a lot of skepticism amongst people who cover the league about Orlando. But I don't know. To my eye, they look like a good team, a solid team. It's going to be a pretty big test for them going on the road to Washington. But I kind of feel like if they can hang in, be competitive, take this match into deep waters, that's just another building block for where this Orlando team might be headed.
Yeah, 100%. Whoever those other media members are, shout to them. But there's no skepticism of the Pride on this show. I mean, I think me and you, we're more than happy to hold it down. Even if people want to accuse you of being a homer, I'm in the part of the country that I think geographically, literally as far away as I could possibly be from Orlando. And yeah, I think they're going to compete for the title, which is what makes this matchup against the Spirit so incredible. And you mentioned Rafael coming back. I mean, that's obviously going to be a huge bump. You have Marta playing as well as she could possibly play for somebody, at 38 years old, better than a lot of 30-year-olds are going to play out there. Her legend is signed, sealed, delivered. And Angelina has been playing great for you guys. As a Seattle Reign observer, not a fan, obviously, just a neutral observer, little puzzled at why she perhaps wasn't better up here in Seattle, but the move down to Florida is agreeing with her. And so with that nice mix of Brazilian players, and you add Banda on top of it, Banda was a menace from Jump Street coming on. You're just going to get more of that. She's just going to build more chemistry with those players. I think we talk about Julie Doyle every time we do this podcast. I'm always going to keep beating that drum. The service that they're going to provide to Banda, I mean, this matchup right here is going to be great. I look forward to the next time these two teams play when Banda has even more time with her side, and then going back to Bethune when Bethune has a little more seasoning too. The next matchup of these two teams is going to be a certified banger as well. This is a hell of a way to start the weekend.
Yeah, very spicy. I want to give a couple other players some shout outs here. Adriana's been great. Yep. And one stat I like to look at, expected goals plus expected assisted goals per 90. It's kind of like a nice stat to kind of see who maybe some of the best players are. So on that list, Temo Chawinga's 4th, Bia Zanarato's 7th, the aforementioned Trinity Rodman, she's second on that list. So like it's a good barometer for who's really balling out. First on that list, the Orlando Pride's Summer Yates. Shout out to her.
Let's go.
Orlando's getting a lot of good, solid play from players across the board. So I think this match is going to be maybe a little closer than people might be expecting off of the straight brand recognition. So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I would not be surprised if we see a 2-2 banger in this one. If I could just sprinkle a little prediction out there. No matter what the scoreline is, though, I am just absolutely psyched to see it.
I would love that. All right, let's go ahead. Angel City FC hosting those killers. Kansas City Current, Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. What will you be looking out for in this one?
So the name suits your time zone better than mine, but NWSL After Dark always delivers. So I think we can count on some weird shit happening. I feel like that's probably in the cards. But Angel City, they're coming off a massive win at home versus the North Carolina Courage, who we've talked about as have been playing very well this year. And what do they get for their efforts? A date with top of the table Kansas City Current, fresh off a 5-2 domination of Bay FC. Claire Emsley scored off a sweet free kick. She had a slick chip over the top, coming off of something that didn't look like it was much of an opportunity, and ended up getting the result. So, Angel City, they're kind of flying high. I feel like Angel City had the slow start, but they have a lot of talent on the squad. So do I think like they're going to be looking at KC at the top of the table like, oh boy, we might be in trouble for this one? I don't think so. I think Angel City is going to say, we're at home. This is a primetime game, and we're going to be ready to take on the Current.
Yeah, it's funny that you phrase it that way, because I think the complete opposite. I think they're going to look at this KC side and not feel so excited about having to face them.
Also fair.
Angel City, you mentioned Amesley's 2 goals. I don't want to call them fluky. I know that their XG was a little lower than 2 for sure in that one. The free kick was a beautiful strike. The chip was a little kind of circumstantial, like kind of like a good break for them. They haven't looked great, but on the flip side, this KC Current team, Thelma Chawinga, 4 goals, 2 assists. Bia Zanerato, 4 goals, 2 assists. Vanessa DiBernardo, 2 goals, 4 assists. I want to put like what this team has done scoring wise into perspective. So the most prolific goal scoring team in NWSL history, the 2019 North Carolina Courage, 54 goals in 24 matches.
Pretty good.
That's good for 2.25 per game. That's no joke. That's the best in the history of the NWSL, 2.25. The Current are scoring 3.4 goals per match. They already have 17 goals. They're a third of the way to 54, roughly, after 5 matches. It took the Courage 24 matches to get to 54. To say this is unprecedented, it's a total understatement. This team could smash that record by September with 10 games left, like if they stay on this current pace. And it's not just one player. Like you can see the assists, you can see the goals spread out across 3-4 players. And I think it's opening things up all over the field.
Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely incredible. So we talked about them. Thelma Chawinga, Bia Zanerato, Vanessa DiBernardo. I think it's also worth pointing out that Dabinia has played 31 minutes for Kansas City this season, and they've put up 17 goals. I want to give a quick shout out. Everybody support local journalism. PJ Green, he is a sports reporter at the local Fox news station. Not Fox News, at the local Fox station in Kansas City. We do not support Fox News on this program, just real quick, get that out of the way. But PJ Green, he tweeted a video on Tuesday of this week of Dabinia participating in training. And it's worth noting that PJ Green also reported on April 10th that Vlatko Andonovski said Dabinia was, quote, a couple weeks away. And that report was on April 10th. Well, checking the old watch here. It's April 24th, and if she was a couple weeks away on April 10th, I feel like we're probably getting around there. So a team that is on pace to be the most prolific scoring team in the history of the league is going to add Dabinia. Seems good.
Insane. And I'm pretty sure of those 31 minutes, those did not overlap with Thelma Chawinga. I think she was on with Bia, but I think she came off before Thelma came on in that one. Yep. So we'll get to see those 3 at some point here real soon. If you're an Angel City fan, you're hoping that, Dabinia, don't rush back so quickly. Maybe
it's fine.
What's the rush? Don't push it. I think this is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, we're going to see the Current on the road, and we're going to see maybe how real this Angel City situation is with a major test. NWSL After Dark. I think their streak of delivering, pretty good bet to continue.
100%. And that's what I was going to say is that one thing, and again, I'm going to just make the football to college American football comparison here, is that those late games, weird shit tends to happen. And so shout out to Holly Anderson, who was a great writer for Grantland when it was around. Now she does her own thing at an outlet called Channel 6. She's on the Shutdown Fullcast, which is the internet's only college football podcast. Holly Anderson on Twitter coined the term Pac-12 After Dark years and years and years ago in the early Twitter sphere. And for my money, I believe Holly to be one of the absolute greatest college football writers of all time. So I just want to shout her out that to see NWSL After Dark in our sport get trending, knowing that she kind of mothered that from Pac-12 After Dark like a decade plus ago. So shout out to Holly.
I love that. Yeah. Shout out, Holly.